I will start with Heckelin. Looking back, how successful has Carla Del Ponte been?
In all modesty, my personal view is that Carla Ponte came at the right time with her special experience and knowledge. After a diplomat like Goldstone and Louise Arbour, who made some decisions about sealed indictments and sending home the small fish, as they are called in the media, here came the person who went out to tell the world that they had an obligation, that the tribunal couldn't work without the politicians and without the world powers. And somebody who, it's weird to talk about you while you're here, somebody who really knew how the power lines are going all through the world, the money streams, all the other aspects. And what amazed me the last few days is how much a tribunal is associated with your personality. People talk about a tribunal as, in a way, talking about Carla, which is really amazing. So you're the prosecutor, there are judges, but judges are unknown, anonymous persons. And here's this one person who goes out into the world and
She's
is
also a
known.
symbol.
I think you're a symbol, and the problematic thing is that people tend to have different views. Some think you're a real loser because you didn't get them. And other people think you are a kind of female hero, that you are, and that's something that impressed me in the film, because you go there and there are these men sitting with this funny body language. They're very polite and please go ahead and tell us, and in the end they do nothing. So I think that's something people have noticed also.
It seems to me that you're not very good at hiding your in your body language and your expressions, hiding what you think. Is that something that sounds familiar?
I do not want to do that. Absolutely not. I do not want to hide nothing. Particularly in confronting in this meeting, you must be very transparent. They must know exactly if you are angry, if you're nervous, if you are happy or no. Absolutely, yeah.
May I ask you something? Was there a moment that you felt that somebody was impressed by it, or felt it, your convictions, or were they so experienced in just looking polite and doing nothing?
It depends. It depends, of course. But I think that thinking now back, for example, with Prime Minister Sanader, at one point in all our meetings, he understands that he have no escape. I think because at the beginning he thought, just let me kind with her, and I will be able not to arrest Gotovina. Let me kind. And of course he was traveling to Brussels, because the interlocutors are both Brussels, who is the political power, and the prosecutor. So traveling to Brussels and always secret travel to Holland, secret meeting with the prosecutor, official meeting with in Brussels. But I think he understood once that it was no escape, and that was particularly important for us. Yes.
But do you see yourself, because Heckelin said you're also a symbol of something? Is that something on the top of your head?
I think it is particularly in my report with the victims. I will never forget the women of Srebrenica. They were around 300, and it was in November 1999. Milosevic was in power, and I met all these women, and from what they have said, I was receiving this element of symbol of justice, symbol of what they are asking for, justice. But I can tell you that I feel very humble, because I said that is a great responsibility that I have on my shoulder. Knowing that Milosevic was in power in Belgrade, does that extreme difficult to have the arrest even for the mid-level perpetrators. And I came out from this meeting with a great motivation on what we are doing, but also a great responsibility.
But their situation seems to affect you a lot. If you see the film, you identify with the women of Srebrenica. Is that what makes you go on and on and on?
For sure, the contact with victims is the only really emotional moment that you have. It is the contact of victims, because in speaking with the victims, you feel the suffering of these people, and the suffering is there, is still in existence. If you see bodies, mass graves, it is work. It is technical work. Of course, you at the beginning it is a little bit, but with the time you get used on that. But contact with the victim is the suffering, the alive suffering from what happened, and that is a great motivation for us, for all us.
Ms. Sluiter, do you think that is it is a good thing to do that as a prosecutor?
Oh yes, certainly. But not only the victims and the contact with the victims. If I may just raise one point of criticism, and that is that I do not have the impression that this prosecutor, as maybe also her predecessor, has a strong eye for the rights of the accused. And the rights of the accused at the Yugoslav tribunal is in some ways problematic. The length of pretrial detention, the length of trials, equality of arms, admission of written statements. There are a number of areas in relation to the rights of the accused which are, I think, problematic and should also be a concern for a prosecutor of an international tribunal. And these are elements which may harm the legacy of the tribunal when it's closing its doors.
Is that a problem? Do you
may I say that I disagree totally.
Okay.
Absolutely, totally.
I wouldn't expect.
Can you imagine that 12 of my accused who are now in trial receive a Christmas gift? They were able to go home, provisional release for the Christmas holiday. Nobody was thinking about the Christmas holiday for the victims of these crimes, but the accused, yes. And during the trial, please, I was really considering that the ICTY, our international tribunal, is a prototype of how we must respect the rights of the accused. Because you have no other international but national court who are respecting the right of the accused and of the defense counsel as we are doing. Incredible. It is even a little bit too much, in my view.
But with respect, the prosecutor also knows that at the tribunals there's been a rule for many years that says that detention is the rule and provisional release is the exception, and also in practice. This approach would not pass any test of any human rights court. It's been a wrong approach from the beginning, and the prosecutor also knows that the length of pretrial detention is extreme. Not at the Yugoslav tribunal, but for example the Rwanda tribunal. Mr. Bakosora has been in detention from 1996, more than 10 years, and his trial is still not finished. This is extreme, unacceptable.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, when I think that in a financial case, so just money, the Human Rights Court decided that 5 years pre-trial detention is proportionate. It's proportional because it was a very strong financial crimes. I cannot mention you the name of the case, but it is a case. If I think what happened in former Yugoslavia, the torture, the killing, the deportation for thousands of people, civilians, mothers, children, and other people, and my accused as responsible, not because they were executing the crimes. They are responsible because they decided this crime, because they planned, they organized. Ethnic cleansing. I think that 5 or 7 years pre-trial detention is absolutely proportionate. Because yesterday, Dragomir Milosevic was sentenced to 33 years detention. So 33, if he have done 6 years pre-trial detention, it is calculated in the serving the sentence. So the proportion, the gravity of the crimes, I'm sure, and not to forget how we can get the arrest of this fugitive. Because, of course, it will be easy because it is an international obligation when you are under arrest warrant by an international court that you voluntarily surrender. But we must look for them during years. Years. We are looking for them to arrest them. And once we have them, we should be able to keep them until they can be put in trial.
Jacqueline, do you share Johan Sluiter's criticism in that respect?
Well, they are suspects. Whatever we know, that's one of the big problems with the tribunal too. That what we know is not always criminal knowledge or proof. So they are still suspects, although you say they were the torturers or the ones who instigated or organized it or planned it. So if the tribunal wants to be a perfect example for, especially for the area it works for and works with, an area where there hasn't been a rule of law for ages and ages and generations, I think the tribunal should be even more strict than any other court, apart from whether they deserve it or not.
Yeah, but, this presumption of innocence, of course, presumption of innocence, until you are convicted a sentence. So, but the office of the prosecutor is working during the investigation, collecting evidence. When I sign the indictment, I have the moral conviction of the guilty of my accused, because I have enough evidences. So I would not go to the trial chamber to ask a confirmation of the indictment if I do not have collected enough evidences to prove that. Presumption of innocence, yes, because it is the judges who decide at the end. It's not the prosecutor. But, the crimes committed are so grave, so heinous, so that a pre-trial detention is to ensure, a pre-trial detention is not a pre-judgment. It is to ensure that the accused are appearing in court. And accused who are at large 7 years, and finally you can arrest them. So the danger of escaping is absolutely enormous. That is one of the reasons. Second, who is extremely important, interfering with the witnesses, with witnesses, but interfering with justice. Threats to victims, not to speak about killing witnesses. So that is what allowed us to keep them in pre-trial detention, because war criminals, because this kind of criminality is extremely different than the common crime.
Last
criminal.
reaction, Johan Sluiter?
No, well, very brief. I just was a bit. I heard the prosecutor say they are responsible, but then she herself mentioned the presumption of innocence, and that should be the guiding point in any criminal trial: is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Yeah, but the prosecutor, I cannot sign an indictment and ask the judges to confirm an indictment, collecting all the evidence that this accused is guilty, and coming out of my room and saying presumption of innocence.
But may I ask
formally, yes, because the judges will decide about. But myself and my collaborators who are going in court during the trial, they are convinced of the guilty if they can present all the evidences, because at the end is that what must happen, because that is the problem, to be able to present all evidences in court.
But how did you see your role, if I may ask a question? Is it a common law style prosecutor or a civil law style prosecutor?
under our rules of procedure is a mixed.
Yes.
It's a mixed system. You have some from civil law, some from common law, but it is almost common law with some other civil law elements. But yes, it is a mixed. We have amended our rules. We, the judges, have amended the rules, I think, 40 or more times since the constitution of the tribunal.
Well, we have to review all your 8 years, so I'm going on to the next point.